Imagine getting some of these videos replatformed, and then the information goes even more mainstream. And then maybe we look back on this as that weird aberration of that crisis that almost happened in 2020. But I don't think it's going to be that simple, Doctor.
I think that it could be that simple.
I hope so.
Potential for it to be that simple is there. And I think it's already happening. More and more people are feeling it, Brian, and information that you're putting out and I'm putting out and many other people are putting out, it's resonating with people. And so they're realizing that I'm not the only one that's feeling this way. My neighbor's feeling this way. My brother-in-law's feeling this way. My brother may not, my sister may not, my mother may not, my dad may not, but my brother-in-law is, or whatever the case is, they're starting to find out. And what I want people to do is start the conversation, because they start realizing more and more people feel this way, but they don't want to be singled out. They don't want to be ridiculed. They're afraid. They think that everybody's going to laugh at them, whatever. But there's so many people that are feeling this. And your thing about the social media platforms, I think that what I envision, and I know this is going to be the biggest threat. They thought the 5G was the biggest threat. I think what I'm about to say is the biggest threat to the social media platforms, because every person that has not gotten the information that they sought, that did not have access to that public utility, which they were entitled to, is a potential plaintiff in this issue. And if there's a class action lawsuit that could take down Google and YouTube and Facebook to the point that they have hundreds of millions of people that are plaintiffs, and then we can create whatever is needed, because nobody should have a monopoly like that on information. And mainstream media having laws that are passed that if you say something, you better be able to back it up, because if you can't, you will go to jail, because they have a higher responsibility. I'm amazed that these bastards will invoke the First Amendment as their freedom of speech and hide behind it, and yet bastardize it by lying, by manipulating information. So I think that they should be held criminally accountable for misinformation, because freedom of speech doesn't say you can misinform people and cost people's lives and fortunes and their livelihoods. That is not in the part of the First Amendment. The First Amendment is freedom of speech, freedom to associate, and freedom to assemble. Well, now we understand how they've been manipulating us. Look at the gun thing, right? The gun laws. Everybody's saying, I've had friends from England, from New Zealand, from Australia, from all over the world saying, for the last 5 years, telling me, Rashid, make sure that your friends know in the United States, don't give up the guns. Don't give up the guns, because if you give up the guns, then as the United States goes, so does the rest of the world. The United States is the last place on the earth, and it's the only place on earth where the public is more armed than the military. And they don't want the public to be armed. And that's why when I said they, I mean the hierarchy that's been orchestrating all this, because they knew that people that have arms, they're going to be a resistance. And to blame the gun violence out there, for the people that say, how can you say that, Dr. Buttar, because all the people that have died from this gun violence? People haven't died from gun violence. People have died from idiots that had access to weapons, okay? To say that guns are the reason for the violence that we've experienced is like, it's like blaming, okay, if you think that that's a problem, if you think that guns are the problem, then we need to outlaw spoons because of the epidemic of obesity. You cannot blame something on the tool. You have to take personal responsibility. So this orchestration of the gun violence, take away guns, was, I believe, to prevent people from being armed when this final fiasco pandemic was going to occur. Because right now, if it would occur, there are a lot of people that are armed. And I can tell you, I'm not promoting violence. I'm not for violence, but I'm telling you, I was trained on how to defend. I was trained on how to protect. And I'm not just talking about the military. There's many different things. I mean, I've been, Brian, I was a bouncer all through college and medical school. I've competed in martial arts. My son and I are both world ranked. And we've been fighters, okay? We've been fighters, not because we like to fight, but because the best way to prevent somebody from being abused, the best way to ensure peace is to be strong so that nobody screws with you. Now I'm saying that the world has already identified that the United States public is very strong because we are armed, and our forefathers saw this. That's the reason they gave us freedom of speech, one, and freedom to bear arms, two, so that this type of atrocity doesn't occur, because that's what they're trying to do. So my point to the military and to the law enforcement people is that if you take off your uniform, you are no different than anybody else.